also Tn minus 1 we are adding, and here also minus 1 we are adding. Tn minus 1 minus 1 plus 1 will remain the same. So if we solve this, what we will get? We will get that Tn minus 1 minus 1 will be what? Minus 2. What will be minus 1 minus 1? Minus 2. We will get Tn minus 2
Yes,
plus
ma'am.
1. Right? Now, if we substitute minus 2 to this, again we are substituting again. Now, instead of we are now our equation, if we take Tn minus 2 plus 2, suppose we are taking this equation, right? And we substitute minus 2 to here, so we say Tn minus 2 is, so this equation we are taking now. This equation we are taking here now. So we are taking plus 2 here. So we apply minus 2 here, right? So so n minus 2 we are applying to this equation, n minus to this n minus 1, minus 2 we are adding it actually. So minus 2 we are adding every here. So if we add n minus 2 in this equation, we are adding n minus 2. So what we will get? T n minus 2 minus 1 plus 1. So minus 2 we are adding to this equation. Here also we are adding minus 2. So if we do this, how much we will get? Minus 1 minus 2 will be minus 3. Tn minus 3 plus 1. Right? So if we keep on calculating like this, we are getting the same result. That means whatever the value is here, we are getting the same result as everywhere. So here we are taking Tn is equal to Tn minus k plus k, where n minus k is equal to 0. So we are saying that n and k are both are equal. If n and k both are equal, we are taking some arbitrary value, k as an arbitrary value. If we say n and k both are equal, that means if we do n minus k, that will be equal to 0. So we are applying wherever there is 1 or wherever there is constant value, any constant k value we are taking. So n minus k plus k we are taking, and k n is equal to k. So if we say n minus k, k means n minus n, that means 0, and k will we'll apply n here only. So it will be t0 plus n, right? So t0 means we will take it as 1. T0 means time 0 means 1 plus n, right? And that means or we can say that this is no time. 0 means 0 only. So if we say 0 plus n, so it will remain n only. We will not say 1, we will say 0 only. So n plus 0 will be n only. Tn will be equal to n. That means the time, the recurrence relation, the time we are getting is Tn is equal to On. This way. Same way here again they are taking Tn is equal to 1 if n is equal to 0, Tn minus 1 plus 1 if n is greater than 0. So here again we are doing it by substitution. N minus 1 plus n is the equation. Again we are adding minus 1, so we get Tn minus 2 plus uh, n minus 1 we are adding here, and here because n is there, so minus 1 will be added to this. So here, so then Tn minus 2 minus 1 plus n minus 2, so here we get n minus 3 plus n minus 2. So this way again for any k arbitrary value we are putting the thing, right, where n is equal to k, and we keep on putting at the place of k n's value. And when we calculate, it comes out to be n square n, right? N square plus n. So because these constant value we remove it, so n square n means n square only, because this n we will take a single value only. So this equation will solve out to be On square. The time will be On square. You also have recursion tree method also. Another method is there. So in recursion tree method, Tn is 1 and Tn plus 1 plus n if n is greater than 0. So first you are taking Tn, then Tn minus 1, then Tn minus 2, then Tn minus 3, up to T0 they are talking about time. So Tn is equal to 1 plus 2 plus n minus 3 plus n minus 2 plus up to n, what they are talking about. Tn is equal to n into n plus 1 by 2. So this way, this method is known as tree method, like this. N by 2, n by 2, we are taking twice. So this method, generally we do not use. Mostly we use this substitution method. The substitution method is generally used for recurrence relation rather than tree method. So these are the different methods. There is also a master method if you want to solve it by master method. So master method is also there, right? So that these are the three methods which they are talking about. But generally we solve it by the first method, which is the substitution method. This substituting with one of the constant values and checking it. That is how we solve it. This is what recurrence relation is, right? So these method, this substitution method you should know for solving the recurrence relation. That is most important, right? Now, mm, what else? So this was about recurrence relation. Now you have to go to your. This was block one, what we were talking about. So block one, unit 4 was recurrence relation. If we talk about this method of solving recurrence relation, so this is what recurrence relation method they are talking about. So this is unit 4 of your block 1. So you can go through that, right? Next one is your next, what we are talking about is block 2. And block 2 has block 2 is greedy techniques. So we will be talking about the different algorithms of greedy techniques. So first they are explaining what is greedy technique. We have already seen that. So if you want to maximize or minimize certain optimal problems, you want to maximize or minimize readily. So that for that, for some of the examples they are talking about, suppose there is a list of tasks along with the time taken by each task. However, you are given the with limited time only. The problem is which set of tasks will you be doing so that you can complete maximum number of tasks in the given amount of time. This is an example of a greedy technique problem. That means you want to solve many problems. There are many problems and there is a limited time in which you want to solve. So you want to solve as many problem maximum problems as you in a given time limit, right? The solution, the intuitive approach would be greedy approach, and the task selection criteria would be to select the task with the slowest amount of time. So the first task will be that task which takes minimum time. The next task would be the one that takes minimum time among the remaining set of tasks, and so on, right? So this is a greedy technique. So what you will do, you will find out the minimum जिसका सबसे कम होगा टाइम सॉल्व करने का टास्क का, वो पहले उठाओगे. And then the leftover tasks which are left over, again the minimum you will find out, so that you can solve the task in a given limit of time. Now they are taking another example. Consider a bus which can travel up to 40 kilometers with full tank. We need to travel from location A to location B, which has distance of 95 kilometers. So this is location A to location B, and total distance is 95 kilometers. In between A and B, there are 4 gas stations: G1, G2, G3, and G4. These are the 4 gas stations which are at distance 20 kilometers, 37.5, 55, and 75 kilometers from location A to location A respectively. The problem is to determine the minimum number of refills needed to reach the location B from location A. So what they are saying, you have to travel from A to B. There are 4 gas stations. Now, if you want to travel to A to B at 20 kilometer, there is a gas station at 37.5 and 55 and then 75. So how many minimum number of refills at the gas station you will do so that the 95 kilometers you can cover at B, right? So suppose the tank refill decision criteria is considered to refill at the gas station which is nearest when the tank is about to get empty. According to the criteria, if we start from location A, the tank will be refilled at the second gas station, that is G2. So suppose our gas was full, and we are thinking that whenever our gas empty symbol, tank is showing empty symbol, before that is about to get empty, sorry, is about to get empty, we have to refill it. So the nearest what location from where we can fill, the criteria from start of the location A is G2 first, 37.5 kilometers. Right. After this, we need to refill at the fourth gas station G4, which is at 75, which is at a distance of 37.5 kilometer from G2. So from G2, this again G4 is about 37.5 kilometers. So from G4 we can easily reach the location B, as it is only 20 kilometers now, because 95 kilometers, so from 75 to 95 kilometers, it is only 20 kilometers left. Therefore the number of refills required is 2, as represented in figure 2. So only in 2 refills you can reach the destination at B. That is what, that this is just an example they are showing. So formulation of greedy technique, what all things you need to do is, for a given problem with n input value, the greedy approach will decide criteria to select values termed as selection criteria and will run for n times. So if each run following step will be performed, if it will perform selection based upon the selection criteria, this returns a value from the considered input values and also removes the selected value from the input values. So it will check the feasibility of the selected value. If the solution is feasible, then the selected value is added to the solution set, else step 1 is repeated. So what they are saying is, so we have to first, we will perform selection based on the selection criteria, whatever the criteria is. We will select a particular input. This returns a value from the considered input values and also removes the selected value from the input values. Now your list will be, your set of list is there and items are there. From the selected inputs, you select one input and you remove that input from the selected values, and then check the feasibility whether that selected value is feasible to be selected for a particular solution. And then you will repeat the step until you find uh, the perfect solution, that these are the inputs which will give you the perfect solution. So based on the above discussion, we develop a template for writing a greedy algorithm. So they have created a sample template, greedy algo template A comma n. So input domain or candidate set A of size n, for which solution is to be obtained. These are the different inputs, a set of inputs you have. Then these are the criteria to select input values is function select, a candidate set, return an element, then function solution set, return boolean, function feasible, again this returns a boolean. So these are the some of the functions they have created. So an optimal solution set S, where S which maximize or minimize the solution criteria with respect to given constraint. So S is that solution set which is right now empty. This is a S is a solution set which is returning boolean. While not solution set S and A is not empty or null set, X select A. So you will select in X a particular input from A, right? And then A, from A you will subtract or delete that particular input which you have selected. So now your set of inputs in A have reduced, right? Now whatever input you have selected from in X, if feasible, S union X, if that input is the, according to the condition, it is feasible, then you will put it in union, means you will put this X into this S set. Then you will put that X into the solution set. If solution S, if this you will keep on repeating this step. Up next you will take another now the leftover inputs which you have, another input you will take in X. again you will subtract it from the selection set, and then again if it is feasible you will put it in the X. If it is not feasible you will not put it in the solution set and go to the next iteration. So all the items, suppose n items are there, so all the items you will keep on checking and putting it in the solution set. Now after the completion of the loop, all the items have been seen and the solution set have been obtained. Now if solution S, return S. If your solution has been found, then you will return the solution set, otherwise you will say no solution. Just simple template they have created. Now, to illustrate the example, to illustrate the same, consider a list of jobs. So you have jobs like here, J1, J2, J3, J4, J5, and time required for completion of the job is 3, 7, 1, 2, 8. This is it. If this problem, second row represent the time taken to accomplish the corresponding job, the problem is to count maximum number of jobs that are possible in the given time limit. Time is 6. In 6 time limit, how many jobs can you complete, right? So your solution set A, selection set A are the job number of jobs, that is J1, J2, J3, J4, J5, and n is equal to 5. They have taken, right? That means 5 jobs, number of jobs are 5, right? So n is 5. Now select the task that has minimum time. So for your which task has a minimum time? J3. So select the task J3 as it has minimum time 1, right? This solution is feasible according to the problem definition. Add this solution to the set S. So we will put this in the solution set as J3. We will put this in J3. Remaining time left is, now time was 6, because we have used one unit of time, so 5, 6 minus 1, your time limit now left is 5, right? Now next your J3 has been removed. Now left jobs are J1, J2, J4 and J5, and among them the smallest one is J4. So next you will select J4, which has 2 units of time, right? So 5 minus 2, the remaining time will be 3, and you will put J4. It is feasible that 2 units of time can be completed. So in 5, so you will put J4 also in the solution set, and remaining time left is 3. Now jobs left are J2, J1, J2 and J5. From among these J1, J2 and J5, J1 is the least one, 3. So you will select J1 and put it, and it is feasible because your remaining time is 3. So 3 remaining time can be completed. So J1 you will put it in your solution set, and remaining time now becomes 3 minus 3, 0. Right? So now your remaining time is 0. So now you cannot put any other job. Your 2 remaining jobs are now J2 and J5. Right? So if you select J2 first, which is 7, right? So because your remaining time is 0, so select the task J2 as it has minimum time of 7. The solution is infeasible according to the problem because your time remaining is 0. Remove this task from A. Now A is J5, which is 8. Again your time remaining is 0. You will also remove it from A. So your solution set only have these jobs J3, J4, J1. This is the final solution. So therefore, the maximum number of jobs that can be done within the given time limit is 3 if we follow greedy approach. Just an example they asked me. Right. So now we are talking about another problem which is known as fractional knapsack problem. So this is one of the algorithm which we are talking in greedy algorithm. So this is an optimization problem which we want to solve it through greedy technique. In this problem, a knapsack is a bag of some capacity is considered, which is to be filled with objects. We are given some objects with their weights and associated profits. The problem is to fill the given knapsack with objects such that the sum of the profit associated with the objects that are included in the knapsack is maximum. So the constraint in this problem is that the sum of the weight of the objects that are included in the knapsack should be less than or equal to the capacity of the knapsack. However, the object can be included in fractions to the knapsack, because of which this problem is termed as fractional knapsack problem. So what they are saying is, you have some items to be put in a bag. The bag has some capacity, right? And those items should be put in a bag so that maximum maximum items can be put. But you should keep in mind the capacity of the bag. According to that, you should keep the items. So therefore is another kind of knapsack problem termed as 0 1 knapsack problem, in which the objects are not to be considered in fraction. The whole object is included in the knapsack. So there are two kinds of knapsack problem. One is fractional knapsack, there is 0 1 knapsack. In 0 1 you consider the full object, and in fractional knapsack you can take the half of the object and keep it, fraction of the object and keep it, right? So that's why it is termed as 0 1 knapsack problem. Here we focus on fractional knapsack problem. So here we are talking about the problem of fractional knapsack. The fractional knapsack problem is defined as, given a list of n objects, say O1, O2, On, and a knapsack or a bag. Capacity of knapsack is W. Suppose each object OI has a weight WI. So each object will have a weight accordingly. So you have to keep in mind that the weights, according to the weights of the object, you have to keep it in the bag, because bag also has certain weight, and a profit of Pi, right? Profit is also there. How much weight is there, how much profit is there. If a fraction xi, where xi is the element of 0 to 1, of an object OI is placed into a knapsack, then a profit of Pi xi is there. So Pi xi is a, if a fraction xi, right, your fraction of an element is put of that object is put in the bag, then that fraction into that profit of that object is multiplied. That is what they are saying, right? So the objective of this problem is to fill a knapsack up to its maximum capacity, which maximizes the total profit earned. So we have to maximize the profit. So here they are saying maximize the profit sigma I is equal to 1 to n Pi into xi. We have to maximize this profit subjected to the constraint, whatever the weight is. Constraint is your weight, which should be Wi into xi, that is weight, and this should be less than equal to your the fractional thing, and your should be less than equal to the weight, less than and equal to the weight. So here they are taking an example. Suppose consider number of objects n is equal to 3. 3 objects are there. Capacity of the knapsack is 20. So P1, P2, P3, three objects are there, with the this profit of 25, 24, 15, and weight of 18, 15, 20, 10. So in the weight 20, you have to put these weights, and their profits of the weights are these. So you have to put it in this knapsack 20. To solve this problem, greedy method may apply any one of the following strategies. From the remaining objects, select the object with maximum profit that fit in the knapsack. So which is the maximum profit? So maximum profit is 25, right? And its weight is 18, right? So from the remaining object, select the object that has minimum weight and also fits into the knapsack. So any one of the one can you apply. Either you take the maximum profit, right, and put it in the knapsack from the objects, or you can from the remaining objects select the maximum weight, or you can say the minimum weight. So whose minimum weight is there, that you can select. Or from the remaining objects, select the object with maximum Pi divided by Wi, that is profit divided by weight, that fits into the knapsack. So these three strategies are there, any one you can follow, right? So let us apply all the above three approaches in the given knapsack instance. So if we apply all the three approaches, in the first we will take the maximum profit, right? So select the object with maximum profit. So if we select the object with maximum profit, so first one has 18, then 15, then 10. So 18. Now it is only 20 kg. The knapsack is having 20 kg weight. So 18 so we have selected. Now remaining from 18 remains 2 kg, or, two units are left. From you have selected 18 weight because 25 is the profit. So you have selected the maximum profit which has weight of 18. So 18 is selected, kept it in the bag. Now you have 2 units left. So from the maximum profit, if you take, then this one will be taking only 2 units from the 15. So 18 plus 2, and the last you will not take anything, plus 0. So it will be 20. Right. Now, this is WIXI, what we are, some of this we are taking, some of the weights. Now, if we take this method, PIXI, if we calculate, so PIXI will be 28.2, that is profit into. So x1, x2, x3, what how we are taking? First, you see that x1 is 1, the whole thing we are taking. First we are taking the whole thing. From the second one we are taking 2 units only. From the second one we are taking 2 units only to 2 by 15, and in the third we are taking nothing, to 0. That is what our x1 and x2 will be. So PIXI. So PIXI is profit is how much? 25. So 25 into 1 is 25 only. In plus 2 by 15 into 15. Sorry, multiplied by 2. Plus 2 by 15 into 15. How much will that be? From this 15 we are using 2 units. So 2 by 15 into 15 will be 2. Sorry, what is XI is this, and profit is how much? 24. 24 into 2 by 15. How much will that be? 24 into 2 by 15. How much will give you that? Uh,
3.6.
3.6. So if you add 25 plus 3.6, how much will that be?
28.6.
How much? 28.6, right? Right or wrong? They have written 28.2, it should be 28.6, whatever the value is coming out. If I open the calculator,
Ma'am, it is 28.2. That is
0.2,
with,
it
that
is
will be
3.2.
3.2. Yes.
Yeah. So it will come out to be 20.28.2. 25 plus 3.2 is 28.2. Right? This is how the first method is giving you the answer. Now in the second method, what we will do? In the second method, we are finding the minimum weight. If we take the minimum weight, according to the minimum weight, which one we will pick first? 10 one, this one. Minimum weight is 10. So we will pick 10 first. This one, right? So the profit is 15. So we will take 10. So the whole one we are taken according to the weight. The next, which is there, is 15. The minimum next weight is 15. Among the 15 now, from 20, 10 we have already used. So 10 is remaining. So from 15 we can only take 10. So only take 10. So it is 20 kgs total. Now knapsack is full. So that means how much from 15, how much we have used? How much will be used from this 15 kgs? 10 we have used, 2 by 3. 10 we have used. So 2 by 3 is the portion we have used from 15. If we find the percentage of portion, it will be 2 by 3. because 15 and from 15 we have used 10, 5 is remaining. So 2 by 3 portion we have used from this. Now, and the last one we are not taking into consideration because we have already filled our weight, right? So how much we will find out PIXI? Again, 1 into profit is how much? 15. 1 into 15 plus 2 by 3 into 24. So 2 by 3 into 24 will come out to be how much? 2 by 3 into 24 will be equal to 16. So 16 plus 15, how much is that? 16 plus 15 is 31, right? So second option where we are selecting the minimum weight is giving us 31 as the solution. And the last option, which is saying from the remaining object, select the object with maximum PI divided by WI, that is profit divided by weight, we will select. So if we see profit divided by weight, which is the maximum, 15 divided by 5, 15 profit divided by weight is 15 divided by 10 is how much? 5 3s are 15, 5 2s are 10, 3 by 2 it is, right?
1.5, ma'am.
Huh. And 24 divided by 15 will give you
1.6.
1.5. Then this is giving you how much? 1.3. Twenty-four divided by 15 is 1.6, and 25 divided by 18. So 25 divided by 18 is giving you 1.3. So which is the maximum? Which is the maximum? One 1.6 is the maximum. Middle one, I think. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So middle one is the maximum. So you will take that whole. So you will take that whole. So 15 is the weight of that thing. Yes. 15 is the weight of that thing. You have taken that whole 15. Now, if you have taken 15, how much is remaining here? 5 units. Yes or no? 5 units are remaining, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So next highest is this one. 15 divided by 10, 1.5. So next highest is this one. So among that we have to have 5 weight only. So from 10 we will take 5 units of weight from here, right? So how much from 10? If we have taken 5, that means half, 1 by 2. Yes, the whole we have not taken. We are taking half of that weight of 10. So only 5 units we will be taking. So half, that means half we are taking. So 15 plus 5, 20 is complete now. Now if we calculate PIXI, so it will be 1 into 24 plus 1 by 2 into 15. So 1 by 2 into 15 and 24. How much that will come out to be? 1 by 2 into 15. 7.5. 1 by 2 into 15 is 7.5 plus 24. How much that is? 7.5 plus 24. 31.5.
Yes, ma'am, 31.5.
Right, so this is coming out to be that. Now we have seen three alternatives to these solutions. One is either we find the maximum profit, we select the maximum profit. Either second one is either we select the minimum weight, and third one is we divide profit with weight and then select the maximum profit divided by weight. Right, so first alternative is giving us this solution, which is giving up 28.2. Third is giving us this solution, which is 31.0. Sorry, second one. And third one is giving us this solution, which is 31.5. Right. So thus from above all three approaches, it may be noted that greedy approaches may not always yield an optimal solution. In such cases, the greedy method is frequently the basis of a heuristic approach. Sometimes a clever strategy can be indeed led to optimal solution. Approach 3, selection of object in decreasing order of the ratio Pi divided by Wi gives an optimal solution for knapsack. So they are saying that this third alternative is best because always the optimal solution would not be found out. The best optimal solution can be found out with the third alternative, where we are finding the fraction of profit and weight, and we are calculating the solution. So that is what they are talking about, and that is what fractional knapsack is. This is what the third approach is, actually fractional knapsack solution, right? So I'm just giving you so here again we are talking about fractional knapsack only, right? So the algorithm, what they are talking about in the form is we have to take weights and profits of the items to be added in the knapsack are taken as input from the fractional knapsack algorithm. So here in the algorithm we'll say consider all the items with their weight and profits mentioned respectively, calculate Pi divided by Wi. So you will calculate the profit divided by weight of all the items and sort the items in decreasing order on their profit divided by weight values. So you will sort also the items because in their decreasing order. Without exceeding the limit, add the items into the knapsack, right? So if the knapsack can still store some weight, but the weights of the other items exceed the limit, the fraction part of the next item can be added. So we will keep on putting, first we will take the highest value because we have put it in the descending order. So descending order means the highest weight, then the after that next lower than the highest, then next lower, and lowest weight. So decreasing order we have put it in. Then we will take the weight which we can, the highest weight which we can put it in the knapsack, right? And after that, if some weight is still there which we can put, then we will find out the fraction of that weight and put it in the knapsack. That is what we will do, hence giving the name fractional knapsack problem. So for example, here they are giving you a knapsack of 10 kg. Again, we have already found out that we have seen the calculation. So 1 2 3 4 5 items are there, and weights of the item and profits of the item are given. So weight and profit are given, we will calculate Pi divided by Wi. So profit divided by the weight. The profit divided by the weights are this. This is the thing we will get, profit divided by the weight, right? Which is the highest? This one is the highest, 8 is the highest, and our weight, total capacity is 10 kg, right, of the knapsack. Now arrange all the items in decreasing order of the, so we have arranged the items in the decreasing order. So item 5 has the highest PIWI, then item 3, then 2, then 4, and then 1. 5 2 3 4 and 1. Sorry, 5 2 3 4 and 1. So these are the items in decreasing order. Now So now here they should write the okay, weights are there. So now the items are 5, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and their weight, according to their weight also we have arranged them. So the fifth item has weight as 1 and profit as 8, so we have arranged according to the that. So without exceeding the knapsack capacity, insert the items in the knapsack with maximum profit. So knapsack with maximum profit, that means we will put first 5, right? Maximum profit means pi divided by wi. So fifth item we have put it in the knapsack. Then after that, the next item which is there is this. So we are left with how much? So the knapsack can still hold 4 kg weight. So fifth one is having how much weight? 1. Fifth item has 1 kg weight. So knapsack we have filled 1 kg. We have to fill, I think they are saying 10 kgs, but they are calculating according to 5 kg. I don't know. Okay, let us see what they are saying. So, but the next item have 5. So they are saying that you have to take 5 fifth item, and fifth item weight is 1 kg. So in knapsack we have put 1 kg of the fifth item. Then the next one is this one, second item, which has the maximum PIWI. So this item has weight of, so we are left with how much? If that is the case, for okay, we'll see how much is there. So from 10, if we decrease, we are left with 9 kgs. Now again, second item is selected, the weight of that item is 3, right? So if we put 3 kgs of weight, right, 3 and 1 is 4 kgs are done. So how much is left is 5 kg from 10 kgs. No, 4 kgs, 6 kgs are left. So 3 is put in there. Then next item is this 3, again complete. This complete is put, this complete is put, this complete will be put. 2 kgs are there. So 3, 4, 5, 6 kgs we have put. Right now 6 kgs, we are left with 4 kg now from the 10 kgs. Now for the 4 kg, what we will do is, now the weight is 5 kg. We can only put 4 kg. So how much we have to put now? Now we have to put the fraction part of it. So 4 by 5, they are saying, right? Item number 4, the weight is 5, but we can only put 4 kgs. So 4 by 5 only we can put, and the last item which is there, we will not put that. The last item we will not put that, right? The first, this we won't put. So this is our items we will be putting. These are the whole items, and this is 4 by 5 fraction. So hence the knapsack hold the weight 1 into 1 plus 1 into 3. Pi into xi we have to do. This is xi we have found out. Pi is this, I think 8. So so 1 into 3, 1 into 3, 1 into 2 plus 4 by 5 into 5. So 4 by 5 into 5, which is total coming out to be 10 kg. That is okay. Now we have to calculate the maximum profit. So it will be 1 into 8 plus 1 into 15 plus 1 into 10 plus 4 by 5 into 20, which is giving you 37 as the total profit. So this is what the algorithm is. The fractional knapsack, how the fractional knapsack is. This algorithm which we have written here, now you have to implement it into a program. So when you will do the what you say, practical, then you have to have a The algorithm has to be converted into a program. So we will see that in the practical sessions. I'm just right now explaining the, I'm not explaining the program, just we will go through how the problem is solved, right? That is what we will do right now. Then in the practical session we will solve the problems. So this is what fractional knapsack is. So now if you see the fractional knapsack problem, so you have a profit array, you have a weight array, or and x also you are calculating, and then the weight of the fraction of the knapsack, right? So list of weights and profits of n objects stored in w and p. Profit and weights are stored in this p and w array respectively. Maximum capacity of the knapsack is w. Profits and weights are sorted by wi pi, so you will calculate pi divided by wi, right? And x1 to n is the solution set, so you will get x1 to n, which is your solution set. So optimal solution for I is equal to 1 to n, xi is equal to 0. So first you your xi, that is the first index of x, which is your solution set, you have set to 0. Profit is the total profit of items packed in knapsack is 0, weight is 0, so both we have set to 0. I is 1, while weight is less than w, while the weight, this weight is less than w, the your maximum knapsack weight. What you will do, if weight plus wi is less than equal to w, so your weight plus the elements in the weight array, right? If your weight plus weight array elements are less than equal to w, then xi is equal to 1, right? So you will put xi 1, that means this weight can be put it in this knapsack. Then weight is equal to weight plus wi, so you will add the weight wi weight into the weight, this weight you will add it, right? Else if the weight is not, weight plus wi is not less than w, then xi is equal to w minus weight divided by wi. So you will from the weight you will subtract the weight and divide it by the index weight, right? The kind of a fraction you can say. So weight is equal to m, they have put it, the maximum. Profit is equal to profit plus profit I into xi, right? So the profit is 0, so you have to calculate the maximum profit. In the profit you are calculating pi into xi, and you will keep on checking the weight, check whether it is less than equal to weight, you will put it in the xi this, otherwise you will put the fractional weight. That is what we are doing, and finding out the profit until all the weights have been checked and your weight has been set here. That is what we are doing. This is the algorithm for that, right? So they are saying the complexity of this fractional knapsack problem using greedy technique is n log n, right? Some sorting of n items for objects in decreasing order of ratio pi wi takes o n log n time. Since this is the lower bound for any comparison based sorting algorithm, line 6 of greedy fractional knapsack takes o n time. Therefore total time including sort is o n log n. So that is what they are saying. Again they have given 7 items and you have to put it in 5 kg. Again they are calculating that, you can take out that also. Next problem is your task scheduling problem. So next greedy algorithm problem is task scheduling. So task scheduling problem is formulated as an optimization problem in which we need to determine the set of tasks from the given task that can be accomplished with their deadlines, along with the order of scheduling such that the profit is maximum. So this is a maximization optimization problem with a constraint that tasks must be completed within their specified deadlines. So this problem is related to scheduling tasks on a single machine for their processing. Suppose you are given a set of n tasks for P on a single machine. Each task is assigned a profit Pi and a deadline Di and takes only 1 unit of time on a machine to get completed. There is availability of a single machine for processing all the tasks. A brute force approach would be to generate all the subset S of a given set of tasks, examine completion of each job in every subset by its deadline, calculate the profit among all feasible subsets, and find one feasible solution. To calculate S, that is the feasible solution Pi of each task I in S needs to be summed up. So the profit needs to be summed up. There could be multiple subsets of tasks is S. An optimal solution for this problem is one which gives a maximum profit value. Trying out all the possible permutation of tasks in S and selecting whether the task in S can be processed in any of these permutations without violating the deadline. So will require n permutation of S, which is a time consuming. So here they have given a pseudocode list of T tasks and list of deadlines defined with each task, list of profit associated with each task. So optimal solution is sort the given set of tasks according to the profit associated with each task. Make n unfilled time slots where n corresponds to the highest deadline. Perform following steps for each task by considering tasks in decreasing order. Find an empty time slot which is closest and not missing the deadline of the considered task. Mark the identified slot as filled. If no such slot is found, then ignore the task. So let us consider an example to understand. Suppose there are 5 tasks. In each task has associated profit in rupees. So your tasks are T1, T2, T3, T4, T5. This is the profit 1822 this, and this is the deadline of the that is time limit deadline of the task. The amount of time required to complete each task is 1 hour. However, the deadline for of each task is given in the specified table. So, to complete each task, the deadline, the amount of time required to complete each task is 1 hour, right? However, deadline of each task is given there. Now, to solve the problem, consider the highest deadline and prepare that many number of slots of unit time to schedule the task. So maximum, I think this one T3 or T5 will be there. Maximum, what you have to take? Highest deadline. So the highest deadline is T3, T5. This will help in scheduling the task easily as there will be no task to be completed after the highest deadline. So according to the given problem, the highest deadline is 3. So there will be 3 slots, right, illustrated in figure 4, each slot of unit time, right? The list of tasks to schedule a task. A greedy approach has to select the set of 3 tasks and schedule them in such a way that the total profit is maximum on their completion. For this, the selection criteria will be to select the task with highest profit. According to this criteria, T2 is selected, right? The T2 is selected because it has the highest profit, right? And place it in the slot closest to its deadline, that is from 1 to 2. So its deadline is 2. So in 1 to 2 you will put T2 there, right? Next task which has the highest one is 18 T1, right? So next task is T1 is selected from the remaining set of tasks according to the selection criteria. The deadline for task T1 is 2, but we have already scheduled T2 in the slot 1 to 2. So we have already put 1 to 2, that's T2. So look for an empty slot before this slot. So in 0 and 1, the 0 1 slot is empty. So task T1 is placed on slot 0 and 1 according to its deadline. However, this slot is already filled and there is no other slot before 0 and 1. So this task is not scheduled, right? Next task T5 is selected. The next task is T5, which is 6, which is and placed in the slot 2 to 3 slot as it has deadline of 3, right? So now the remaining task, that is T3, is having deadline as 3, but there is no empty slot available. So this task is also discarded, right? So T1 is selected here, T2 is selected here, and then T4 is selected. Therefore, the sequence of selected tasks is as follows: T1, T2, 18 plus 22 plus 7, T4, this one. in 1. So it will be 2 to 3, we will put T4 because it is the deadline is 1 here. So we will select T1 in 0 to 1 and T2 in 0 to 2 and T4 in 2 to 3. This way they have selected. Total is 18 plus 22 plus 7, 47 total profit. Right. So if we see in our example here, so job sequencing algorithm is applied to schedule the jobs on a single processor to maximize the profit. The greedy approach of the job scheduling algorithm states that given n number of jobs with a starting time and ending time, they need to be scheduled in such a way that maximum profit is received with the maximum deadline. So set of jobs with deadlines and profits are taken as input. So here find the maximum deadline value from the input set of jobs. Once the deadline is decided, arrange the jobs in descending order of their profits. Select the jobs with the highest profit, their time periods not exceeding the maximum deadline. The selected set of jobs are the output. So this is it. So first you will find the maximum, find the value with the maximum deadline from the input set of jobs, and once the deadline is decided, arrange the jobs in descending order of their profits. So here, if you see here, consider the example this. So these are the jobs, J1, J2, J3, J4, J5. Deadlines are these and profits are these. So first, what we have to do is find the maximum deadline value from the input set of job. So maximum deadline value is this one J5, right? Find the maximum deadline value from the deadline jobs, right? So that is the maximum value is DM is maximum value is 4, right? Deadline value is 4. So arrange the jobs in descending order of their profits now. So descending order of their profits, if we do that, if we do descending order, so that will be J5 should be come here. So according to profit, sorry, according to profit, if we put the jobs, so J4 as 100, J5 as 80, J2 is 60, J3 is 40, J1 is 20. So according to the profits, we have put the jobs, their deadlines and their profits according to that, according to the maximum descending order, right, from maximum to minimum, right? So we have put it. So the maximum deadline is 4. We know that the maximum deadline is 4, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, we have put the slots, right? The maximum deadline DM is 4, therefore all the tasks must end before 4. Choose the job with highest profit J4. So first we select the job with highest profit 100, which is J4, and it takes 3. It takes 3 parts of the maximum deadline. Therefore, the next job must have the time period 1, right? So and the total profit for this job is 100. The next job with the highest profit is J5. So now we have taken J4, which is taking deadline as 3. So from 3, if we subtract 4 minus 3, if we subtract from total is 4 and we subtract 3 parts, then only one time period is left. 1 is left. 4 minus 3 is 1, right? The next job with the highest profit is J5, and it is taking 4 as the deadline, right? So but the time taken by J5 is 4, which exceeds the deadline by 3, right? Therefore it cannot be added to the output set. Right, the next job with the highest is J2. So J2 is selected. It is taking 2 sorry, where is J2? The time taken by J2 is 2, which also exceeds the deadline by 1. Therefore it cannot be added to the output set, right? Next job with higher profit is J3, and the time taken by J3 is 1, which does not exceed the given deadline because only one time period is left. If we have taken J5, it is taking 4. So if one is taken, three deadline is all is left. So three is exceeding. We can't take that. Two also we can't take that. So three is having one. So one is the only deadline available. So we can give this. We can select the three. Therefore, the J3 is added to the output set. So two jobs are selected: J4 and J3. Right, J4 and J3. The profit of J4 is 100 and profit of J3 is 40. So it comes out to be 140. Right? Now, since the maximum deadline is met, now your maximum 4 was the maximum deadline and that is met. The algorithm comes to an end. The output set of job schedule within the deadline are J4, J3 with a maximum profit of 140. This is how you have to find out. Again, the algorithm which we have to do, we will, but the implementation we have to do, we will do it in the uh, practical class, right? And the next one which is there after this, again the complexity is given for for this task scheduling algorithm is O(n) square. There will be maximum n slot for scheduling n tasks. To search, each task will explore around n slots. Therefore, the time complexity for task scheduling is O(n) square. Right? That is what they are talking about. Again, they have given you yeah, they have given you check progress question. Please, a thief enters. So they what items should thief take if he can even take the fraction of any item with him? There are 5 items of the following weights, and a thief enters. He can carry a maximum of 60 kg. So you have to solve this. Uh, they are not saying you write the algorithm. You have to solve this and show the how many kgs of weight he can take. That is what they are finding out. Then next algorithm is Huffman codes. So Huffman coding is a greedy algorithm again. Uh, that is used to compress the data, right? Data can be sequence of characters, and each character can occur multiple times in a data called as frequency of that character. Data transmitted to transmission media, that can be digital communication or analog communication. That means we need to represent data in the form of bits. If there is more number of bits to represent the data, it will take more time to transmit from one source to other source. So thus Huffman compression algorithm is applied to represent the data in compressed form. Right? Just hold on for a second. Yeah, sorry. Right, this is a compression algorithm, data compression algorithm. So basically compression is a technique to reduce the size of the data. Huffman coding compresses data by 70 to 80%. Huffman algorithm checks the frequency of each data, represent those data in the form of Huffman tree, and build an optimal solution to represent each character as a binary string. Huffman coding is also known as variable length coding. Right. So fixed length encoding, suppose we have 100 characters data file, each character having different frequency shown in figure 1. An order of a character can be in any form. To transfer the data, each character will be encoded into ASCII representation without using any compression algorithm. ASCII code takes 7 bits to represent the data in a binary form. Therefore, in a message, each character takes 7 bits to represent the data, and there are 100 characters in the message. Thus, a total 700 bits needed to transfer a message from one source to other source without any compression algorithm is shown. So what they are saying is you have a message. So suppose these are the characters you are sending: A, B, C, D, E, F, and the ASCII code for these characters are these, and the 7-bit code for binary form of this: A is this, B is this, C is this, whatever. These are the binary codes. Now these are 7-bit code. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? The 7-bit code is there. So total bit divided by character. total bits are to 7 into 70 equal to 490. Okay, so here they are given how many characters are there in your string. So they are saying a they are 70 characters, b are 2, c is 5, d is 13, e is 3. How many times the characters are there in your string? How many times they are coming in your string? So a is coming 70 times, b is coming 2 times, c is coming 5 times, d is coming 13 times, e is coming 3 times, f is coming 7 times. So your A is 7-bit code is this. So this 7-bit code into how many times A is coming? 70 times. So that is 490. Then 7 into 2, 2 times B is coming 14. 7 into 5 C. 7 into 13 is D. 7 into 3 is E. And 7 into 7 is F. So these are the total items and total number of bits. If we add these, will come out to be 700 bit approximately. Frequency table of the characters in a message. So in case the above message is sent without applying any compression algorithm, total number of bits it takes the 700 bit to transfer the message. So in the above example, we are not using all English alphabets and symbols. We are using only 6 alphabets in the message. Do we really need 7 bits to represent the data? Not really. Only few bits are sufficient to represent the data. So can we use less bits to represent the data? Yes. Then how many bits are needed to represent the data? As we know, we can represent 128 characters with 7 bits. We have only 6 characters. We need definitely lesser than 7 bits, but how many bits are really needed, right? So let's see, if we have only 1 bit, so 0 1, the only 2 characters can be represented, 0 and 1, right? Then 2 bits, 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. These are the 4 characters can be represented. Then 3 bits, if it is, then 8 characters, 0 0 0 0 0 1. So 8 characters can be represented. So we have 6 characters in the message. We need only 6 out of 8 combination to represent the message. So from this 3 bits, we will represent the bits 3 bits because it has 8 characters which can be represented to 3 bits. So we will take this one, and we need only 3 bits to represent the message. So now so now your characters are A B C D E F, and the frequency of their usage is this, and the code we use is 0 0 0 0 0 1 0 1 0 0 1 1 1 0 0 1 1 1 0 1, right? So now our thing will change because it is 3 bits: 3 into 70, 3 into 2, 3 into 5, 3 into 13, 3 into 3, 3 into 7. So it comes out to be 300 bits. We have compressed it. So the above method requires 3 bits only to encode each character of the message having 100 characters, and take 300 bits to encode the entire message. Can we do better? Let us look at the appropriate algorithm. So Huffman coding algorithm, variable length encoding we also say. The variable length coding can do considerably better than a fixed length code using Huffman coding. So here we are using fixed length, but we will do variable length. So Huffman encoding says we don't need to take fixed size code for each character. In a message, some characters may be appearing less number of times and some may be appearing more number of times. So if you give a small size of code for the more frequent occurrence of characters, then the size of the entire message will definitely reduce. So Huffman invented a greedy algorithm that finds an optimal prefix code called as Huffman code. If there is an encoding of message at sender end, there must be decoding at receiver end to read the message. So in Huffman coding, prefix codes, which is one type of variable length encoding scheme, are assigned to each character in such a way that no code for one character constitutes the beginning of another character. For example, if 10 is a code for A, then 101 cannot be a code for B. Therefore, while decoding the encoded the message, Huffman coding ensures that there must be no ambiguity in prefix code assigned to each character. The main advantage of prefix code is that it simplifies decoding of the message. So some more examples of prefix code: set of binary sequence P such that no sequence of P is a prefix of any other sequence in P. So they are talking about that. How they are working. So Huffman coding works in two steps: build a Huffman tree, find Huffman code for each character. So input is a set of m characters, and each character m, which is an element of m, has a frequency m frequency. Store all the characters in min priority queue using frequencies as their values. Priority queue is a data structure that allows the operation of search min or max, insert, delete, min, max, repeat respectively. If heap is used to implement priority queue, it will take O log n time. Extract two minimum nodes x, y from min priority queue PQ, replacing xy in the queue with the new node z representing their merger. The frequency of z is computed as sum of the frequencies of x and y. The node x, z and x is as its left child and y as its right child. Repeat step 3 and 4 until one node left in the queue, which is the root of the Huffman tree. Return the root of the tree. So that is what they are talking about. For example, if we go to uh, so suppose this is your string, initial string. Each character occupies 8 bits. Suppose each character occupies 8. They are taking 8 bits. There are a total of 15 characters in the above string. A total of 8 into 15, 120 bits are required to send the string. Using Huffman coding technique, we can compress the string to a smaller size. Huffman coding first creates a tree using frequencies of the character and then generates code for each character. So one data is encoded, it has to be decoded. Decoding is done using the same tree. So Huffman coding prevents any ambiguity in the decoding process using the concept of prefix code. That is, a code associated with the character should not be present in the prefix of any other code. The tree created above helps in maintaining the property. So Huffman coding is done with the help of following step. Calculate the frequency of each character in the string. So B is coming 1, C is coming 6 times, A is coming 5 times, D is coming 3 times. Frequency of the string. Sort the characters in increasing order of their frequency. So B is coming one time, so this is there. Then 3, D is coming 3 times, A is 5, and C is 6. So we have sorted. Now these are stored in a priority queue. So characters sorted according to the frequency make each unique character as a leaf node, right? So create an empty node Z, assign the minimum frequency to the left child of Z, and assign the second minimum frequency to the right child of Z. So set the value of Z as the sum of the above two minimum frequencies. So if you see here, uh, we have taken here. So we will take a Z, an empty node. We will take Z here. Assign the minimum frequency to the left child of Z. So minimum frequency from 1 and 3, if we say 1 is the minimum, so 1 we will keep at the left child, and 3 we will keep at the right child, the next minimum which is there. So and the second minimum frequency to the right. Set the value of Z as the sum of the above two. So 1 plus 3 is 4. So Z will be set to here 4. So like this we will be doing. So 4 is your Z, sum of the two frequencies, right? Getting the sum of the least numbers, remove these two minimum frequencies from Q and add the sum into the list of frequencies. Asterisk denote the internal nodes in the figure above. So insert node Z into the tree, right? So this is the asterisk node. So we will remove the 1 and 3. We will remove 1 and 3 from this list, and asterisk 4 we have added, which is Z, which we have did, and the rest we have 5 and 6, A and C, which is 5 and 6. These are the rest nodes, right? Now again we will insert Z into the tree. So again we will see which one we will keep at the right and which one we will keep at the left. So we are left with 5 and 6 now. So repeat step 3 to 5 for all characters. Now, so here, if we see here, 6 and 5 are there. So 6, which is how they have kept this 6 and 5. Okay, so now what happens is, now the next least item in the list is 5. That is A has 5 times occurring, so 5 is the next minimum. So the next one we will be keeping at the right side of this 4, right? This 4 which we have received after the sum of these two. So we are keeping at the right side of 4. So 5 and 4 sums up to 9. So you will add 9 asterisk and remove 5 from the list. Now you are left with C, which is 6, right? So repeat step 3 to 5 for all the characters. So now 9 is there, and 6 is less than 9, so we are putting it at the right side, left side of left side of 9. So 6 and 9 sums up to 15, right? So A, B, D, A, C, all characters have been covered, and this is the final step, when you have covered all the for each non-leaf node, assign 0 to the left edge and 1 to the right edge. Non-leaf node means this 6 doesn't have any leaf node, so we will add 0. And the node which is having leaf nodes, so 9 is having leaf node, we are adding 1 here. Again, from here also we will see 4 is having leaf node, we are sorry, this 1 should come here, 0 should come here, 1 should come here, because 4 is having leaf node, but 5 is not having leaf node. So 0 should come here, 1 should come here, right? Again, here it should be 0 and 0, because this also doesn't have a leaf node, this also doesn't have a leaf node. So for sending the above, so assign 0 to the left edge and 1 to the right edge. So okay, not that way they are assigning. Okay, so they are saying assign 0 to the left node, 1 to the right node, 0 to the left node, 1. So 0 and 1, 0 will be to the left, and right edge you will assign 1, 0 edge you to the left node, left edge you will assign 0. So you will do for the, not according to what I was telling earlier. So left edge is 0, right edge is 1. That is how you will assign. For sending the above string over a network, we have to send the tree as well as above complex code. So the total size is given by the table below. So here if you see, A's frequency, A, B, C, D's frequencies are given. Then these are the code. So how come A is coming? So A is here. What is the code for A? 1, 1. Like this we read, 1, 1. So code for A is 1, 1, right? Code for B is 1, 0, 0. Code for B is 1, 0, 0. Code for C is 0. Code for D is 1, 0, 1. Code for D is 1, 0, 1. So these are the codes, and now we will be multiplying the digits of the codes with the frequency. So 5 into 2, 1 into 3, 6 into 1, and 3 into 3, right? So it is coming out to be 28. It was earlier 32 bits, 4 into 8, but now it is coming out to be 28 bits after compressing, right? So without encoding, the total size of the string was 120 bits. After encoding, the size is 32 plus 15 plus 28. 32 plus 15, okay, 32 plus 15 plus 28. This one they are talking about. So the characters were 4 characters. 8 bit each will be 32 bits. Then this frequency is 5 and 6 is 11, 12, 34, 15. And right, and when you have to decode it, so once you have coded it like this from the tree, you also have to decode it at the source. So for decoding the at the destination, sorry, not the source, at the destination you have to decode it. For decoding the code, we can take the code and traverse through the tree to find the characters. So let 101 to be decoded. So if we have to decode 101, right, so we can traverse from the root as in the figure to D, right, like that. So this is how it is coded again. uh, So yeah, here they are saying create a priority queue consisting of each unique character, sort them in ascending order of their frequencies, find all the unique characters, create a new node, extract min value from queue, assign it to the left child of new node, extract min value from queue, assign it to the right child of new node, calculate the sum of the two minimum values and assign it to the value of the new node, insert this new node into the tree and return the root node. This is the algorithm, right? And we'll do the program later on when we will do the practical. So this is Huffman coding, and the complexity is O n log n, right? Time complexity of this algorithm, that is there. Then next in the next class, that is tomorrow, we will do divide and conquer algorithms which are there. We will talk about them, right? So I think so after this, let me see what all algorithms are there after this. The next unit is divide and conquer algorithms. We'll discuss divide and conquer algorithms tomorrow. What are the different algorithms they are talking about? We'll talk about them, the different algorithm, binary search and all that, right? So any doubts, anybody?
Ma'am, can I get this video of this lecture, recorded video of this
Actually,
lecture?
you ask the study center Merit about the recordings, how you will get the recordings to see,
Okay.
right? You can go to the website of Merit, merit.ac.in. Their number is there. You can contact them and you can ask them how you will get the recordings of this lecture, right?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, can we have the additional material that you have used?
I'll give it to you. You have a group or something? Have you created any group for your class?
And we have a WhatsApp group.
WhatsApp group I am asking. Do you have that?
Yes, ma'am.
So just put the link for that group in the chat box. I will join that and I will forward it in the WhatsApp group. Right? Whoever is the admin can just put the link of the WhatsApp group and I will join it.
Okay, ma'am. I will tell the admin.
So everybody has put the any doubts is there? So what we have seen today, anyone has any doubt? So everybody has put their attendance in the chat box. Anybody is left? So tomorrow, I think your class will be from 9. Two classes will be there. From 9 a.m. to 11, then 11 to 1. see your schedule accordingly, right?
Okay, ma'am.
So everybody has put their attendance.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
have any WhatsApp group for this course?
That's what I'm asking them. If there is a WhatsApp group, the admin should put the link for that group, and I'll join that. I think they have given the link. I think
Yes,
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 ma'am.
ma'am.
I'm
The
Neeraj,
link
joining.
is
I'm
Neeraj.
joining that group, so you
yes,
can
ma'am.
also join that. In the chat box, the link is there. Please go to that link and join it. Right?
So all subject and one WhatsApp group.
Yes, all subjects. Why do you need a separate groups for all the subjects? It is
Yes,
MCA
it's
first
for
semester.
MCA new to 2025 batch. So I had
Okay,
created this group.
ओके ओके, तो मैं ज्वाइन कर लिया. थैंक यू, थैंक यू मैम.
Okay. So I've joined it. I've joined the group. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So I'll forward the things to you on the link on the WhatsApp group itself. Right.
Okay, ma'am.
So anything else? Should we end the class now? Everybody has put their attendance in the chat box.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll meet tomorrow and do the other algorithms which are there, and then we'll go to the next section. Maybe after that, your practicals will also start simultaneously, na? So we will start doing the practicals also.
मैम प्रैक्टिकल्स ऑफलाइन होंगे ना?
जो ओडीएल मोड वाले हैं उनका मतलब प्रैक्टिकल आपका क्या दिया हुआ है? ऑफलाइन दिया हुआ है आपको, तो लिंक दिया हुआ है ना गूगल मीट
यस
पे.
मैम,
हाँ,
शेड्यूल
तो
में
फिर
मेरे
तो
तो
ऑनलाइन ही होगा ना.
मैम शेड्यूल में ऑफलाइन दिया हुआ है.
ऑफलाइन दिया
थर्ड
हुआ है मैम शेड्यूल में.
थर्ड मई से है.
3rd मई से है. 1 मिनट, जस्ट होल्ड ऑन.
मैम ओडीएल वालों का ऑफलाइन है और ओएल वालों का ऑनलाइन.
ओके
ओके ओके ओके ओके.
ओके. देन फिर जो ओडीएल वाले हैं उनका ऑफलाइन मोड में होगा, जो ओएल वाले हैं उनका ऑनलाइन मोड में होगा.
ओके मैम.
तो आपका शायद सेंटर पे होगा जो जितने भी ओडीएल वाले हैं.
ओके मैम.
ठीक है. बाकी जो जितने भी बाकी हैं उनका तो वैसे ही चलेगा जैसे मैंने बोला आपको. ऑनलाइन वालों को पता है ना उनका शेड्यूल.
Ma'am, shared the WhatsApp group is only ODL, but I am OL, MCA OL.
Doesn't matter. You join the WhatsApp group. Does it matter it is ODL or OL? Content, you are reading the same content, na? You are not reading the different content. It doesn't matter.
No, ma'am.
Then just join the group.
Okay, ma'am.
Right?
Thank.
The examination and the process of your things are different, but studying is same. So you can join the group. Doesn't matter it is ODL or OL.
Okay.
So should we end the class now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So we'll
Thank
meet tomorrow then 9 a.m.
ओके मैम.
Yes.
थैंक यू मैम.
Welcome. Take care. Bye.